It's like awesome. We never went away.
Pop culture pastor.
All right. I think we're ready. So as I was saying, Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz is probably Phineas's father in Phineas and Ferb. You think so?
That's a spoiler.
No, it's a theory.
That's a spoiler of a theory.
Well, hello. It's time for the Pop Culture Pastor podcast, the most alliterative podcast on the planet.
At least recorded here, so yeah.
And we are ready, and we've got a great show, I think. I think we've got a pretty good show.
Name it and claim it.
Yeah. As we're recording, it's Monday. It was a good weekend. Disney Plus Day happened. So we should probably just talk about that right off the bat, huh?
Yeah.
Disney Plus Day.
Enlighten me. What happened?
Oh, okay. So Disney Plus Day. Oh, we should introduce Cain.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Dave. Cody's here. And Cain Coulton's here. Cain, tell everyone who you are.
Hello. I'm Cain Coulton. I can't even spell I can't even talk. What am I doing here? What? Okay. Me, my, mo. Okay, I'm just going to warm up a second here. Right. My name is Cain Coulton. I was the guitarist for Detour 180 many, many years ago. And yeah, that's me. Here I am.
All right. He's got more cred than us.
He does. A lot more cred.
I also talk kind of funny, apparently.
Cain is from what we like to call from New Zealand.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's how most
I was going to say, you remind me of Korg from Thor Ragnarok.
Ah, yes.
Where's Taika Waititi from? Is he
New
from
Zealand?
New Zealand?
Yes.
From New Zealand.
And I like to think that all New Zealanders know each other. So
yeah. Oh, he's a good mate of mine. Yeah, personal friend.
My name's Korg. I'm made from rocks.
Yeah. oh, bro. Korg. Yeah, I'm Korg here, bro.
Oh man, that's great. Okay, so yeah, he's being sort of modest. Big Christian rock band, Detour 180. What's the biggest crowd you guys ever played in front of?
20-odd thousand, I think.
Wow,
25,000, something like that.
That's awesome. That's so cool. All I can hear is Wayne and Garth in my mind right now. Like, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. You know. Anyways, so Cain is here with us today, and we're gonna talk about Christian movies later. In particular, with a focus on like the movies that come from these like Christian movie studios. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with them? Because there is something wrong with them. I think we can all agree on that. What? Cody, not here, not now. Don't make me do it this early. I'll bust out the pool noodle, start whacking you over the head with it. Yeah, and then we're going to talk about like what's wrong with them, how to fix them. And then we will also, Cody and I went to see an advanced screening of the movie American Underdog that's coming out this Christmas about Kurt Warner, a Christian studio movie. And we're going to react to that. We can't review it. So we're not giving you a review. It'll be spoiler free, although it's Kurt Warner story. So, you know, if you know who Kurt Warner is.
Spoiler, he'll play some football.
But we won't review it.
Yeah, we would not dare do that.
But we kind of will. Because the dude said, if you're going to say good things about it, it's cool.
Okay.
And we're going to say good things about it. Okay. Pop culture news this week. Disney Plus Day is a thing. Disney Plus Day. So Cain has no idea what Disney Plus Day is. It's just basically an excuse for Disney Plus to just declare they're having their own day.
Everyone else does.
Yeah.
So Disney Plus is worthy.
They named it and claimed it and just had their own day. And they basically announce all their coming things.
Right.
So, except for Star Wars, apparently.
Yeah.
So the big news of Disney Plus Day was Marvel just unloaded and unleashed
everything.
Pretty much every show that's coming to Disney Plus in the next 2 years. And we'll get to those in a minute because, man, there's some things to be excited about in the Marvel universe. And then Star Wars, just nothing. Nothing. No trailers. I mean, a couple things, but everybody was pretty sure we were getting a Obi-Wan trailer. No Obi-Wan trailer. That went Jimmy Hoffa. Apparently, it got lost. And it's weird because I think the thing that's odd about it is clearly this wasn't planned. Something's going on over there. You know, they've got the thing with Kathleen Kennedy going on, and you don't have Disney Plus Day and have Marvel just unload and not have anything planned for Star Wars. Clearly, they should have had something.
Or will they have Disney Plus Day 2.0? So then we have a sequel before Christmas, and we release all the Star Wars stuff like Christmas Day.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
They may do that, but it wasn't planned. They can pretend it was planned, but surely something got messed up. Anyways, Star Wars fans were, predictably bottom hurt. Yeah, they were pretty upset.
You can just imagine Kathleen Kennedy. Oh, that was today?
Well, it was weird because a few weeks back she got not put on leave, but they said she was stepping away for a while. And now I heard today that they just extended her contract. And so there's weird things happening. As we're recording today, I heard it. I've not confirmed it. I haven't seen an actual news article, but there was chatter on Twitter that she got her contract extended. So I don't know what's going on with Star Wars. Frankly, I think anybody that was involved with the sequel trilogy should be just fired. I don't know how they're still working there.
Unless they redeemed themselves by having something to do with Mandalorian.
Yeah, I don't know. From what it sounds like, that was all Filoni and Favreau.
Well, then goodbye the rest of you.
Yeah, y'all can go, I think is what we're saying. Anyways, Cain.
Politely.
That was the big news.
Okay.
Was Star Wars disappointed, but Marvel did not. So Marvel announced a lot of their coming projects. We could just run through them and you can give a thought or two. I don't care. Moon Knight.
That'll be great.
Yeah. Sort of Marvel's Batman in a way.
Okay.
Except he's schizophrenic. Right. He's got multiple personality disorder. Oh, he's an extremely interesting character.
Okay.
But he's crazy.
And then Poe from Star Wars is playing him, right?
Well, his name's Oscar Isaac.
I'm calling him Poe.
Oscar Isaac, who used to be the front man for a Christian ska band. Yeah.
That was
Did you know
thing.
that? No, I did not.
Maybe thought maybe he met him or something.
No.
You don't know this, but you think you're a celebrity. You don't think that, but Cody's actual because he's seen like 1,000 Broadway shows in New York City. We found that out last
2
pod.
Broadway shows on Broadway. Okay.
We saw a little bit of the Moon Knight. They showed us some moving pictures of that, and then She-Hulk. And what we saw, She-Hulk looked fantastic.
That was one I wasn't expecting I needed.
Yeah, it looks super good. From what we hear about it, they're going to play it sort of humorous, which is when she was at her best in the comic books. It was humorous because she's a large green female. She doesn't get super huge like the Hulk. She retains the female form because comics, But she's like Professor Hulk, right? She's still herself. So it's going to be interesting to see how they explain that in the show. But she's something of a celebrity in the comics. And so I assume they'll play that out there too. Miss Marvel also coming for Disney Plus, which I'm less familiar with because it's a newer comic character. It's a young Muslim girl, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. And she gets the powers of Captain Marvel somehow.
Of course, who doesn't have those powers?
It's kind of going around at the moment, isn't it?
They announced Echo, which is a Native American character.
Sweet.
She's similar to the Taskmaster.
Okay.
In that you saw in Black Widow, where she can emulate fighting styles. So she's a fighter, and she's an interesting character. She's set to debut in Daredevil. Or not Daredevil, in Hawkeye, which is about to come out. But she's also rumored to appear in She-Hulk, I believe, as well. Spider-Man freshman year animated Disney Plus show
Okay.
coming out. This one's really exciting because this is Marvel did confirm this was canon. So even though it's animated, it's going to be Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and it's going to be essentially his origin story, I'm guessing. Wouldn't you say, Cody?
I would guess so. I mean, that's early enough in the Spider-Man timeline.
And that means, you know what time it is. It's time to see Uncle Ben die again.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben, Bruce and Martha Wayne, or Martha Wayne and what was his dad's name? That's not important. He dies pretty early. Thomas Wayne. We've seen Thomas and Martha die, and they took the lead there for a little while, but Ben's going to make a comeback.
Yes.
Poor
Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben.
And of course, we have to have the line, with great power comes great responsibility.
Obviously, yes. And then, I'm hoping that he goes, just like in the comic book, he goes to a wrestling competition. And the only thing that makes me sad about that is that his wonderful macho-ness, Randy Macho Man Savage, cannot be that guy like he was in the Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Bonesaw. Oh yeah, brother. The cream of the crop. Ironheart, another series, is a character I know less about, but a younger girl who gets the power, gets the Iron suit, Iron Man technology.
Okay.
Somehow.
Of course.
You read that one?
Nope.
Nope, neither have I. Agatha House of Harkness. People were pretty excited.
Okay,
about that.
yeah, I was jazzed about that one.
Yeah, Agatha Harkness
I'm
from
using the word jazz for it.
the WandaVision series, the villain.
Right. Yes.
She's going to get her own show, so that should be interesting. Secret Invasion, which this is the one on the horizon that I think is going to be much bigger than people think.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big show. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury in that. Who else was coming back? The guy that plays the Skrull in the Captain Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. He also appeared in Spider-Man Far From Home. So they'll be in that. Marvel Zombies, another animated show. And so that's coming up as well. As well as this Marvel news, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. A lot of people are looking forward to this one. It's really exciting movie on the horizon because multiverse is in the title. So people are pumped and they're really excited about it. Well, apparently it's getting a ton of reshoots. Release date's been pushed back to May 2022. And rumors said that there were all kind of reshoots going on. And a new report out this past week says the Doctor Strange 2 reshoots are incredibly ambitious, and one person likened it to shooting an entirely new movie.
Wow.
I have seen this happen before as a DC fan.
No.
It's not good news. Not good news at all.
Yeah, it turns out the reshoots are more extensive than we thought. The Hollywood Reporter learned that the movie needs significant reshoots. Cast and crew have to be on set until Christmas, shooting 6 days a week through the end of the year.
Wow.
And one source said it was like a whole other movie. Now, others are downplaying the severity. Quote, even while in the middle of production, Marvel's scheduling you for more shooting. That's a person from inside the production, apparently. And another person that remains anonymous said bigger reshoots on other MCU movies that you just didn't hear about.
Oh.
So there you go.
Okay.
I do think because of the nature of the pandemic and how it pushed back a lot of the things, and also a lot of the things we got out of order, in particular Loki.
Yeah.
And some of the other things, WandaVision and all those happening, and Black Widow and the movies getting pushed farther back, especially. So you're having Shang-Chi come out after Loki, which I don't think was the original plan. And so I'm wondering if there's just some things that were in Doctor Strange that they thought they were getting to that they didn't get to, they're not quite ready for, or some other things that aren't relevant anymore that maybe were supposed to happen around the time of that movie and somehow happened way before. I don't know. I think the scheduling probably prompted some reshoots.
I'm just saying, you get a Snyderverse. That's what happens with massive rescheduling and reshooting.
No, I mean, you get a Snyderverse when the Antichrist walks the earth and locusts feast, and you get a 4-hour remix to a terrible movie.
You're welcome.
Nobody was welcome. Nobody was welcome, Cody. The thing about, okay, I think a lot of people like Justice League only because the Joss Whedon cut was so bad. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, this wasn't so bad. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That was awful. It was like a 4-hour fever dream.
It would make an epic series.
Well, yeah. If you cut that thing up into about, 2 seasons of 12 episodes and expounded on some of the things, that's the thing, is there's so much going on and you don't really get to expound on any of it. And you still had a 4.5 hour movie.
Needed to breathe more, right?
Yeah.
And maybe tell everyone who Darkseid is. There's no explanation for that guy.
Yeah. And there's no explanation about the gods of old. I was more intrigued by that.
Now,
in the Warriors of old as well.
Zack
Snyder.
Snyder said that he wanted to do that, and they said you can't. So like DC was like, oh, we got plans for that. Like, oh, you do you, Warner Brothers? You have planned for Kirby's old gods? I bet that would have been royally messed up.
Yeah, but Warner Brothers has messed up so much within the DC realm with the TV shows, because Arrow was definitely building towards some bigger bad villains and some crossovers, and they're like, well, we're going to use that in the movie, so you're not going to use that.
Yeah, those TV shows, those are tough. Arrow, Flash, they're good for a certain amount of time. They're like milk.
Yes.
They're good for a certain amount of time, but once they've been around for a while, it's a race against mediocrity. You've got to get that milk down and get it out of there.
Entropy sets in.
Oh, man. Yeah, Flash used to be so good. So good, as a matter of fact, that when they first started talking about a Flash movie, I was all for, hey, just put that Flash in the movies. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with Grant Gustin. Let's go.
I'm still okay with him.
Yeah, he's great. But now it just feels kind of like a bad taste left in your mouth, though. Like, well, actually just roll with Ezra Miller, I guess. Weirdo Ezra Miller. That dude's an odd cat.
Every movie.
Yeah.
Every movie.
He's strange. He's a strange dude. Okay, so Doctor Strange reshoots. We have one other piece of Marvel news here, and that is the Eternals which has the lowest Rotten Tomato score of any MCU movie, including Thor: The Dark World. You guys surprised by that?
Yes.
Why do you think critics were so hard on Eternals? Because we gave our review last week, Cody. Cain, you weren't here, but have you seen Eternals yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, we won't give you any spoilers, but we reviewed it last week, and I think we both thought it was a decent movie. It's a good movie.
I mean, is it going to be my top 5 of Marvel's cinematic universe? No. But is it in the bottom 5? No. So, it's an average movie. It has different components that make it good. Mm-hmm. Length's kind of an issue for some of the movie-going audience.
Why do you think critics were so hard on it? Because I've seen some people, if you go on Twitter, you know why. Well, it's because she was a woman, or she's, of a woman of color.
I think that the reason critics were hard on it is because it was trying to do a lot, and I don't know if it fully came to the realization of all the things it was trying to do. I think that it could have easily been a 4-hour movie like Justice League if the director got to achieve everything that was trying to go on throughout it. A lot of things just happening, and they might be thinking about the average person watching it and being like, this is too dense of a movie. Get it out of here.
Yeah, Marvel, Eternals, currently with a B grade on the critic score, or on the cinema score.
Oh.
So your audiences are in the 80% range, 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the tomato meter for Eternals is much lower, 48%. That's the critic score, aggregate score. Rotten Tomatoes has had separation before with, in particular, Star Wars movies. Mm-hmm. Although, I don't know, the Star Wars movies are weirdly... There's like two camps of Star Wars fans that are pretty extreme.
Yeah.
So there was apparently some people were just trying to, float the numbers or get the numbers down. I don't know. And then the Dave Chappelle comedy stuff, like his most recent one was a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes from critical people, which is rotten, but 95% audience score. But that's because there's a political divide there. Chappelle tends to take progressiveness to task. Or at least that's their point of view. Because really, Chappelle's no fan of conservatism either. It's just he chooses to turn his eye towards progressivism. But that one, it's obvious why that score's so separated too.
Yeah.
With critics, is the audience score? Do you think the audience score is more reliable?
No.
You don't think so? Because I would say yes.
On this particular movie,
On Eternals,
I will go with somewhat.
Because what's happening here? Because I would say, like, I'm a fan of Dave Chappelle's comedy, just because I think he's super intelligent. And comedy's always been subversive to culture. So the best comedians were always willing to make fun of everybody, right? They were always willing to point out everyone's flaws, And so I like Chappelle, and I think the critic score of Chappelle's recent comedy special at 44% is kind of a joke. Like, no, that was better than that.
So, like, I go back to, like, the Star Wars and, like, the DC movies and a lot of other movies. And, like, sometimes I think the average moviegoer, like, fans out over it and, like, elevates it way above where it's actually at. And the critics are closer. Oh. I want to say, like, if you average the two scores, you're probably right where it should be. So, like, with Eternals, probably a C movie. I'm good with that.
Okay. Sorry, Cain, that was a rough topic for Cain because he hasn't seen Eternals.
That's fine.
Cain, have you seen the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, where he is a bouncer? Professional bouncer.
Actually, I don't think I have. I've heard of it.
Oh, man. A wonderful piece of camp
Has
cinema.
Sam Elliott in it.
From the 80s. Oh, yeah. Sam Elliott as Wade Garrett. They are planning. This is amazing. Sources tell Deadline that a Roadhouse remake is gaining momentum with Jake Gyllenhaal in talks to star and Doug Liman in talks to direct.
Oh.
Jake Gyllenhaal,
which evidently they must not have seen Taylor Swift's new re-released music video because she takes Jake Gyllenhaal to task. But I mean, before it was rumored that Ronda Rousey was going to be in a remake of Roadhouse.
Yeah, but don't. We've talked about that. Don't do that.
I don't think Roadhouse.
This is beloved IP, and I have the same scorn for a Ronda Rousey remake as I do for a Jake Gyllenhaal remake. So no, it's not chauvinistic.
Yeah, like this movie doesn't need a remake.
For the uninitiated, released in 1989, the original film starring Patrick Swayze as Dalton, a bouncer hired to clean up one of the rowdiest, loudest bars in Missouri, the Double Deuce. Swayze's character is put to the test when he needs to protect the town from a corrupt businessman, wonderfully played by, what was his name?
That guy.
It's Brad. I can't remember the guy's name. I know his name was Brad in the movie, which is just a wonderful bad guy name in the 80s. Brad. The film became an instant hit, still considered a favorite role among fans of the late Swayze. And it says, yeah, they were playing around with the idea of having Ronda Rousey in it until they remembered that Ronda can't act.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's unknown whether it'll be a straight remake or a modern take or a
You'd
reboot.
have to do a like modern take on it.
Yeah.
Because like the 80s, so much different than where we're at now.
I don't care about it unless Sam Elliott's alive.
Very much so.
He better be in it as an older Wade Garrett. Like, you know, I'm in favor of a complete reboot or a sequel of some sorts where it's different characters.
I was going to say you can't bring back Sam Elliott.
But bring back Sam Elliott as
died.
Wade Garrett. Did he die in that movie?
Yeah, they killed him.
Oh, that's right.
They can't bring him back.
But Sam Elliott's still alive.
Zombie Roadhouse.
He can appear to him like a force ghost. Like a bouncer force ghost.
Like a few years ago, I think Zombie Roadhouse would have been a huge hit because of The Walking Dead. But now that's kind of died off some. So
yeah. All right. That discussion's has run its course. This popped today as we're recording. So by the time you guys hear this podcast, it'll be a few days old.
Old news.
But after starring in the first 4 films, Lethal Weapon star Mel Gibson is rumored to be taking over for the director for Lethal Weapon 5. Over the weekend, during an interview in London, Gibson let it slip that he was looking to direct Lethal Weapon 5, and sources close to him have now said he's in talks to direct and star, though no deal has closed. Cain, do we really need more Mel Gibson and more Lethal Weapon? I mean,
I think we can start to appeal that to a younger generation.
so
Maybe.
you're closer to his home than we were.
Yeah.
What is the general feeling about Mel Gibson over there?
Mel who?
Right. Yeah.
No, I think largely he's kind of been forgotten a little bit.
Is he essentially? He's probably pretty much American now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
For people in
Totally.
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. How far are you from Australia in New Zealand? Still pretty far, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No further or closer than last time we checked. It's still pretty far. 3 hours on the plane from Auckland to Sydney.
Oh wow.
So it's not close.
Okay.
There are no bridges between New Zealand and Australia.
They should get on that.
Yeah, they should. But
What was it? There was a comedian that said, you know, if New Zealand was really excited about joining the world community, they jump off their island and push it a little closer. Okay. Here's my question, Cody.
Okay.
Given that the revelation that Mel Gibson's not a nice guy,
At times, yeah. To certain groups.
do we want this? Do we want more Mel Gibson as Martin Riggs? Beloved character? 80s character, Martin Riggs? Does this even work?
So for a certain demographic, yeah. It's not going to bother them one iota.
Okay, but overall, like
they
can't release this. They can't release this theatrically. This has got to be straight to streaming.
I don't know. If you does Danny Glover come back? That's my question.
Well, okay.
If Danny Glover's back, I'm back on board.
Here's the interesting thing I've heard about Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. And Mel Gibson is straight called a racist by some people. But
Yes.
him and Danny Glover are tight. From what I hear, Danny Glover loves Mel Gibson. They love that's not a fake thing for the movies. They really do love each other.
Jodie Foster actually really cares about Mel Gibson.
She's a racist too.
No, she is not.
Let it be known. Disclaimer: that was a joke. Everyone, calm down, especially Jodie Foster's people. I don't need any letters in the mail. Of course, Jodie Foster seems like a lovely person. But yeah, I don't know. There's rumors. I saw a couple tweets today that maybe it's going to be developed for HBO Max.
Okay.
Not a theater thing. And I think if they do that, then okay, it'll probably come and go and it won't be that big of a deal. Kind of like Coming to America 2.
Yeah.
That was made for
Amazon
or Hulu or whatever it was on. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's probably a bad idea. I don't like to see these guys get old. And it's probably because Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. That one ruined it. I don't want to see any of these dudes old.
They're not going to have aliens. And also, it finally pays out the joke, I'm getting too old for this.
Yes, that is a great point.
Yes.
That is a good point.
Yeah. That joke was made several times on Twitter.
Now, will there be a crossover with the TV show, though? Because there was a Lethal Weapon TV show.
Yeah, there was.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So you could have a whole new crew and they're running it.
No.
Or
no.
they stop
Bring back
occasionally.
Chris Rock, Joe Pesci. Okay. Joe Pesci was amazing in Lethal Weapons. The Lethal Weapon movies.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed 4. I'm not even going to lie.
I mean, they were all pretty good. Lethal Weapon 2 is the best. Can we agree on that?
I wouldn't disagree with it.
It had the best bad guys. Like the South Africans. Oh, man, they were so easy to hate. They had no Thanos. Oh, maybe they're sort of redeemable in what they're thinking. They're just misdirected. No, these guys were the worst. They were the worst. And, Mel Gibson was fighting the good fight as Martin Riggs.
Otherwise, get Tom Hardy to play Mel's character.
Yeah.
Just like Mad Max. Let's just interchange Tom Hardy for all Mel Gibson roles.
You can do that for Mad Max because he usually had like 4 lines of dialogue in the entire Mad Max movie because he was like silent. Max Rakatansky. He didn't really say much, but you can't do that for Martin Riggs. Mel Gibson is Martin Riggs, just like Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Although I feel like they could have rebooted that Indiana Jones with Chris Pratt and it would have worked.
Not now. That's gone.
Now, why? Why can Mel Gibson come back, but Chris Pratt, because he goes to Hillsong, everyone hates Chris Pratt?
Because Twitter hates Chris Pratt. I don't make the rules. I just know how it works right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, they do, but he's not canceled. I mean, he's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Every movie he's in makes lots of money.
He's Mario.
He is. He does. He's doing like all the cartoon voices. Okay. We've been waiting to have this discussion for a while, so let's take a break. Let's collect ourselves. And when we come back, if you're listening to the Pop Culture Podcast for the first time, mostly we talk about pop culture, but we're also pastors. Cody and I are. Cain is in charge of a ministry here now in the States, here in Kansas, the one that I work for, as a matter of fact. And so now, by all accounts, you're sort of a leader in ministry now, too.
Yeah.
So you fit.
Yeah.
And
I'll claim that.
Yeah. So, yeah, right. So one thing we haven't really done is really get into Christian pop culture. And so we're going to do that on this episode. We're going to talk about Christian movies, specifically movies from Christian movie studios. So we're going to talk a lot about God's Not Dead. I got to get ready. Make sure my gag reflex is okay. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. That was
It's like
awesome.
we never went away.
Okay. What's your favorite Christian movie of all time, Cain?
From the studios or just anything that's
Anything you would say is a Christian movie?
okay. Probably Priceless.
Priceless. Okay, that was the
yeah.
film done by For King and Country about human trafficking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was good. That was a good film. And Joel Smallbone starred in that himself, right?
Yeah, that is true. I think he did a fantastic job.
He was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good. Didn't expect that. Cody, what's your favorite Christian movie of all time?
It is a toss-up between Ragamuffin, which is the Rich Mullins biopic, and then Prince of Egypt. I'm naming and claiming it.
Oh, okay.
The cartoon,
Well,
animated.
I mean, it's about Exodus.
Val Kilmer
Yeah.
is Moses.
I mean, I guess you could make a case that that's a Jewish movie.
I'm good with that too.
Okay. So let's just go through some Christian movies. Let's start back in the year 2000. You ready for that?
Oh, that's not far enough back. That's far enough back.
Year 2000, Left Behind, the movie came out, starring Kirk Cameron, Mike Seaver himself.
And Trevette from Walker, Texas Ranger.
A 2000 Canadian American movie directed by Vic Sarin, starring Kirk Cameron. Film based on, of course, the 1995 Christian eschatological end times novel of the same name, written by Tim LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins. The film was released first direct to video, followed by a limited theatrical release. At the time, it was promoted as the biggest and most ambitious Christian film ever made.
I would not argue that.
It's still,
I
to
had
this
seen the
day,
previous
to this day, holds a 16% score on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's justified. So I've met one of the two writers of the books. I've met one of those guys. I don't remember which one it was, but yeah, like on a seminary visit.
I was not a Christian yet, so I did not see this movie.
Okay.
I did read the books.
Yeah.
I did read the Left Behind books before I was a Christian. Actually.
Oh, wow. So never read the books, wasn't a Christian at this time, but like I became a Christian in 2002. So like our movies were relevant for all like strong Christian families.
Yeah. 2001 saw a movie called Carmen, the Champion, which I badly want to click on, but will not. Because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But Carmen.
I was going to say, is it about Carmen?
It must be. It says Carmen the Champion. 2002, we got Jonah, VeggieTales movie. VeggieTales. So people that are not initiated here, if you're not Christian and you're listening to this podcast, the VeggieTales are a thing.
That's a
big thing.
That's a staple.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's
Many Christian kids grew up on VeggieTales when their parents wouldn't let them watch Disney movies.
yeah.
Yeah. So VeggieTales are Big Bob the tomato and Larry the cucumber, your main characters. And Phil Vischer, and was it him and his wife? Or was it him and another guy? It was him and someone else, right?
We're going to say it was for sure him.
It was definitely him. Created this vegetables that talk and do Bible stories. And it really...
I really like the music that goes along with VeggieTales.
Yeah. Honestly, some of my kids loved the VeggieTales, the pirates who don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, that's not just a good cartoon movie for a Christian cartoon movie. That's a good cartoon movie.
Yeah.
It was delightful and funny.
The Reliant K version of that song's really great.
I'm not going to lie. I quote that movie. Like my wife will tell me to go get something, and I'll be like, I'll shake my body and go, "Can't, out of range," which is a joke that no one will get unless you've seen that movie. Yeah. And there's like big cheese puffs monsters. Yeah, it was wildly entertaining.
Yeah. Delightfully weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Were you of your kids big VeggieTales watchers?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
They have an appreciation of VeggieTales and all things that go squash.
2002 also was the debut of Left Behind 2 Tribulation Force.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, the first one was good enough to get a sequel.
Was it?
At this time, it was
Or was it
all
just because
that
there were
was
like
there.
8 books? Let's just click on that. Let's look at the specifics here.
Again, Clarence Gilliard is in it. Trevette from Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yes.
Wait, you missed my air quotes. It was good enough to get a second movie.
I don't see anything in here. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Does it do better than 16?
I don't remember this from the book. At the end of this movie, they lead the heroes lead everyone in worship in the singing of how great thou art. Does that happen? Did you see this movie?
Yes, I have seen that movie, and I believe that's correct. I couldn't tell you what they were singing, but I feel there was a big worship scene.
The film was nominated for Best Live Action DVD Premiere Movie by the DVD Premiere Awards. That sounds made up. I'm just going to say it.
Can we create our own award ceremony?
Get this. Also for Best Sound Editing in a Direct-to-Video.
Yes. Name it and claim it.
Don't you ever say an unkind word about Left Behind 2 Tribulation Force again.
Now, is that the Left Behind that In Christ Alone was on the soundtrack and blew up?
That I don't know.
Those two go hand in hand. One of the Left Behind movies and that song.
If we're going to talk about soundtracks, though, we should really go back to the first one because this is bonkers. You ready for this?
Okay.
Never Been Unloved, Michael W. Smith.
Dubs.
Brian Duncan and Shine with the Left Behind main theme. Joy Williams with I Believe in You. Third Day with Sky Falls Down, Israel is Attacked. That's the name of the song.
I remember Sky Falls Down, but not the Israel attack.
Here's a blast from the past. Avalon with Hold My Soul. Hide My Soul, excuse me. Fred Hammond.
Who doesn't love some Fred?
Rebecca St. James had a song on this album.
Oh, yeah.
Come Quickly, Lord. Bob Carlyle. Butterfly Kisses, Bob Carlyle. He did After All, which is Rayford's song.
Yeah.
That sounds awful. Your movie Luther came out in 2003.
Yeah.
We discussed that in the last pod, didn't we? Or did we? Was that on the radio?
I think that was in a car ride.
Or did we just talk about that on the car?
I think we just talked about that in the car.
We talked about that in the car, prepping for this show. My
Yes.
bad. All our conversations.
Joseph Fiennes, like an actual actor. Alfred Molina.
Yeah, 2003 historical drama about Martin Luther.
It was quite intriguing. Mm-hmm. If you're all about the Reformation.
Joseph Fiennes, Alfred Molina, Peter Ustinov. Yeah, there's a lot of recognizable names in there.
They spent a fortune on this.
There is a list of historical inaccuracies, which is about 20 deep on the Wikipedia page. And I'm not going to read them.
I'm intrigued.
2004 marked the Passion of the Christ's arrival onto the scene. So this is an interesting one because it doesn't come from a Christian movie studio. This comes from a big studio. And
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And Mel Gibson.
He funded the whole thing, didn't he?
Yeah. Did he? Distributed by Icon Productions.
I thought he did. I thought he.
I think he had a big chunk, if not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, if he did, whoever did made bank.
Yeah.
Because it cost $30 million to make and it made $612 million.
Yeah.
So this was an absolutely bonkers money-making movie.
Because originally he was going to have all of the dialogue in Aramaic with no subtitles.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, he did the same thing with Apocalypto, where they were speaking like a dead language, pretty much, like what the Mayans would have spoke. So yeah, Mel's weird.
Yeah. Mel finally decided to do the whole project with his own money. So, yep. Way to go, Mel.
Nominated for Best Cinematography, Best Makeup, and Best Original Score for Oscars that year. Best Male Performance at the MTV Movie Awards for Jim Caviezel, who's a outspoken Christian now.
Wasn't before this.
Yes. Yeah. Interestingly enough, this one was iconic in the Christian movie verse. So hard to watch, though.
Yeah. I would agree with all of those statements.
Yeah. So many tears.
Yeah.
Mel really wanted to really get across to the viewer that he was tortured. Yeah. So you're basically watching him get someone get tortured. Mm-hmm. And that was rough.
It is very hard to watch.
I've watched it once. Probably will never watch it again.
Yeah, I am in the same boat.
Yeah.
I know what happened. That's enough. But it's a very good movie. 2005, Left Behind, World at War.
Oh, the third installment. Yeah.
And no information for how much it cost or how much it made. I'm going to assume it cost a lot and made nothing.
I didn't even know there was a third one.
Oh, I've seen the third one. There's someone famous in the third one.
Third in the series of films best based on Left Behind.
Is Lou Gossett Jr. in that one?
Lou Gossett Jr. is in it. He's the president, right? Isn't he the president?
I believe so.
Kirk Cameron also, of course, in this movie. That's about it. Kirk Cameron's wife also, because,
Why not?
reasons. Todd Hertz from Christianity Today gave it a 2 out of 4 stars and said, the mere existence of cheese in a Left Behind film comes as no surprise to some movie fans. Probably bad when Christianity Today is bagging on your Christian movie. Then, we go a little while without much of note in the Christian movie world. Although this list has Evan Almighty on it from 2007, and I'm going to allow it.
Yeah.
Evan Almighty, the sequel to Bruce Almighty, is kind of shockingly Christian.
They promoted it at Red Letter Rock Fest the year I went. Like they were one of the sponsors of the concert, and they showed snippets throughout. So
directed by Tom Shadyac, written by Steve Odekirk, starring Steve Carell, Morgan Freeman reprising their roles, Lauren Graham also in it, John Goodman in it, and it cost $175 million to make.
Holy cannoli!
Yeah, that for back then. And it made $174.4 million. Oh. So we lost $0.6 million.
So close. So close.
This is why we didn't have movies for a long time.
The initial budget at approximately $140 led Evan Almighty to become the most expensive comedy film ever made at the time. Wow. Added costs such as set construction, visual effects, and problems with filming multiple animals in a controlled location brought the budget up to $175 million. You better put some respect on Noah's name. See, they found out how hard it was. Once marketing for the film was also included, the film's entire spend was around $200 million.
Wow.
That movie was, listen, it was cute. It was surprising because it was so Christian. The fact that they spent $200 million on it means someone got fired.
Yeah.
Someone lost their job over that one.
I'm sorry.
Thanks for the memories.
Yeah. Moving along. Let's see. We're up to 2000. Is this 2010? The Wikipedia has messed up. Oh no, there's way more. Okay. I was cutting off some of the list here.
How dare you?
Let me make Fireproof. Came out in 2008.
Ew.
We should talk about it. Starring Kirk Cameron, directed story by the Kendrick brothers. Now, this is a major topic here. We got to talk about the Kendrick brothers and their ridiculous. I mean, they're Christian movies. Running time of 122 minutes. Get this though. Get this.
I will.
Budget for Fireproof, $500,000.
I believe it.
Wow.
I believe it.
Listen, this is going to be a big topic for me.
Okay.
It made $33.5 million at the box office, but that's just the box office. When you throw in the Fireproof devotionals, the Bible studies, the promise, the Fireproof wedding,
the love challenge. Yeah.
This is the rise of my first huge problem with these movies is they're totally trying to make money off of Christians. Mm-hmm. That seems to be their number one goal. Not like
successful.
Not like, hey, let's put a movie out there that someone might see and really be convinced to say, who is this Jesus guy? Instead, it seemed like the goal of this movie in particular was, hey, let's sell some devotionals. And yeah, what do you guys think about Fireproof?
I think
Just brutal movie.
I'll let Cain go first.
any movie that can be made for $500,000 has got to have some respect. I'm not saying a lot of respect.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
you could say that.
That's difficult to do.
But you could also say when Kirk Cameron's your main actor, they overpaid.
Ouch.
yeah.
And listen, I love Kirk Cameron as a brother in Christ. If he would like to be on the show, I would apologize to him and say, "Hey, we're just joking around. No offense intended."
But think about that statement that you made and what like 1990s Dave would say if Kirk Cameron was in a movie.
1990s Dave would never see a movie with Kirk Cameron in it. But not much has changed, to be honest with you. But I did see Fireproof because my wife made me.
He did not like Growing Pains.
I actually liked Growing Pains. He was great as Mike Seaver. I liked Growing Pains, just not the episodes where Leo DiCaprio showed up. That's where it goes downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leo DiCaprio, Growing Pains. No thanks. Do we want to look at the soundtrack here? How about Leland? Brighter Days.
Hey, they performed at the fire escape that Cain is now overseeing. So
Yeah,
there you
they
go.
did. Shameless plug.
Third
Yes.
Day. This Is Who I Am. Slow Fade by Casting Crowns. Yeah.
Well,
That's pretty much
the
the only names I
soundtrack's going to make bank off of at least two of those artists.
40% of critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a positive review, which I'm just
That's almost Eternals level.
I'm so confused because Fireproof is awful. Listen, okay, let me just say this right now. Part of the reason we're going through the movies is we're going to identify what's wrong with Christian movies. Mm-hmm. Movies like this, especially the Kendrick Brothers movies, all have this same problem. And it has a problem that we have in common with the church, I believe, which is these movies are populated by not real people. These people do not act like human beings. They don't have the problems human beings have. And if they do have those problems, they react to them in a way no human being would react to them. They're impossibly good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these characters are not real human characters. And so therefore, anybody who's not a Christian is not going to have a positive reaction to this movie. Because this is the same thing a lot of non-Christians complain about our churches. You don't want me to come to your church. You want me to be perfect and then come to your church.
Mm-hmm. So Kendrick Brothers movies such as Fireproof usually have a lot of cheesy dialogue and like not the best acting. So I was waiting for you to say that we're horrible actors, but you didn't go there. So.
Well, the acting's not good. But I didn't want to kick a dog while it was limping.
Dude, just put it down.
Yeah, well, we should. Frankly, and you'll realize this as we go on, not a fan of the Kendrick Brothers. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're pandering to make money off of Christians more than they're trying to make movies that appeal. Like, so the big thing that you always hear from these Christian movie makers is like, oh, we want people to see our movie and ask about Jesus, and we want to convert them right there. It's like, this movie's not going to do it. And if you say it does, I'm going to call you out because I don't believe you.
So what I would say this movie does, what they're claiming is going out and making disciples. That's what they're claiming. And it's not evangelistic. It's more edification of the body. So like it's geared towards Christians. And you can say, it's positive entertainment. And that's how they should be marketing it because it's more honest.
Well, it's a thin line between calling something edification and putting out something that's more about, oh, look how awesome we are as Christians. There's a little elitism there,
yes,
in my opinion. But okay.
I'm trying to at least give them a little credit before we completely destroy them like 3 movies down.
In 2009, The Blind Side came out, starring Sandra Bullock, Tim McGraw, a real life story about Mike Orr, who was a National Football League NFL player. Based on a 2000 book, The Blind Side, Evolution of a Game. The film tells the story of Michael Orr, who overcame an impoverished upbringing to play in the NFL with the help of his adoptive parents, Sean and Leanne Toohey, starring Sandra Bullock, Tim McGraw, and Quentin Aaron as Michael Orr. The film was a commercial success, grossed $309 million on a $29 million budget.
Like Michael Orr really hated that it became a movie.
Really?
And it wasn't until like one of his last years in the league, he was playing with the Carolina Panthers, and like every teammate's like, it's The Blind Side. And he finally was like, okay, fine, whatever. This is how I'm going to be known forever.
Oh, man. Come on, man. You got to embrace that.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that movie.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with how good the movie was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Michael didn't like that. That's how he's known forever.
Yeah.
Despite mixed reviews from critics, Bullock's performance was universally praised, leading her to winning the Academy Award for Best Actress that year. She won for that role.
Nice.
Well, it makes up for Gravity.
A little much. I don't know that she deserved it for that role. She was good. I don't know if she was Academy Award good, but she won it. She also won the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama that year, the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Leading Role, so it shows what I know.
Yeah. Who are you, Dave Rimbolt?
I'll tell you who I am. Who are you? I am. Okay, yeah, so that takes care of the odds. So as we go into 2010 here, I'm just going to quickly hit some movies that aren't ones we really need to talk about, but you may have heard of. Letters to God, movie starring Greg Kinnear, I believe.
Greg Kinnear's everywhere that you want to be.
Soul Surfer, a movie about Bethany Hamilton, the girl who was a professional surfer.
Yeah.
And lost her arm in a shark attack.
Yep.
She did.
And was able to get back out there and keep surfing, overcome fears.
That was a good movie.
Courageous, the next Kendrick brother movie comes out in 2011.
So they went from firefighters to police officers.
Yeah. Starring Alex Kendrick himself. Sorry.
And I'm going to do a spoiler alert.
He also plays the coach in the football movie they made. Do you remember that one?
Facing the Giants or whatever. Yeah, no. So
Let's not talk about it.
With Courageous, there was a challenge that you could buy and do as men because it was challenging men to be better fathers.
Yeah, right. Of course, because it had a selling point.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Budget was $2 million. And it
they-
made $35 million, which means the Kendrick brothers are probably hiring a professional hitman to have me murdered right now because they've got tons of money.
They're like 60 million plus right now based off the two movies we discussed. So
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? At least if we're going to get taken advantage of, can you make better movies? My goodness. Well, don't worry because it's coming. Stuff's coming down the pike. Joyful Noise came out in 2012, starring many people you've heard of, not least of which is Dolly Parton, Queen
did
Latifah.
not watch this.
Gospel infused movie.
This sounds made up.
It is not. October Baby came out in 2011. Now this is an important one because this is the debut of a different set of brothers, the Irwin brothers.
Oh.
October Baby, a 2011 American Christian-themed drama film directed by the Irwin brothers, Andrew and John, starring Rachel Hendricks in her film debut. It's a story of a woman named Hannah who learns as a young adult that she survived a failed abortion attempt.
Okay, I remember this one coming out.
Yeah.
Did not watch it.
You did not watch it. Budget was $1 million. It made a modest $5 million, but still, who's frowning upon $4 million profit? Not this guy. But the film was inspired by a YouTube video chronicling the experiences of Gianna Jensen. And the film received poor reviews from critics, 23% favorable rating on Rotten Tomatoes. You're going to find that that's a pretty standard thing from movies from Christian outlets. Unlike movies like The Blind Side, which was from a big studio.
Yeah.
The movies from Christian outlets often don't fare well with the critics. Jasmine Guy was in this movie from A Different World. You remember Jasmine Guy? She's probably the biggest name in this movie. Also, John Schneider, Bo Duke.
Oh, he's in a lot of Christian movies and TV shows.
Yeah. But this movie is important because it's the arrival on the scene of the Irwin brothers. Did you see October Baby, Kate?
No, I didn't.
No. Not as many people saw that one. Then we kind of go through a couple more years, and then in 2014 it really gets going. God's Not Dead. Full stop. Let's talk about God's Not Dead. Directed by Harold Cronk. Based on a book, I guess. Starring Hercules himself, Kevin Sorbo.
I thought it was an actual, true-ish story.
Oh, please tell me it's not. Please tell me it's not.
Maybe.
Now we got to read this. Written by Carrie Solomon Chuck Collins, based on Rice Brook's book, God's Not Dead, Evidence for God in an Age of Uncertainty. The film follows a Christian college student whose faith is challenged on an atheist philosophy professor who declares God a pre-scientific fiction. Received mostly negative reviews. Well, that's not shocking.
What?
The film was criticized for using straw man arguments and common stereotypes of atheists. That's not wrong. Instead of any actual debate.
I stand corrected on the
So,
the trueness
Names you
of the
might
story.
know: Kevin Sorbo,
Yep.
Dean Cain,
Yep.
the Newsboys, Willie and
Yes.
Corey Robertson. Budget $2 million, made $64 million.
oh, thank goodness. I was concerned.
This film's script was inspired by lawsuits involving the place of the Christian faith on universities and by the book God's Not Dead, Evidence for God in an Age of Uncertainty. Here's what I don't like about the God's Not Dead movies. I went to a super liberal university. I had no professors that did not encourage all the voices in the sphere to speak up. Even the ones I knew were atheists and liberals. Like, I'm good friends with my Western Civ professor, super diehard atheist, super diehard liberal. And he was very encouraging. You know, that class was the first time I was exposed to the Bible, really reading the Bible, because we read the Pentateuch. We read the first 5 books of the Bible in that class.
The books of Moses.
Yeah. And so, like, it's hard for me to sit through this movie and watch this this, I don't even know what to call it. This over dramatized kind of fakish, college is liberal bad. And it's, first of all, if you're going to do it right. Do your homework. I audibly laughed in the theater when I saw this. And yes, I saw this in the theater. I audibly laughed because at the beginning of the movie, on the first day of class, the Kevin Sorbo's character, the professor, goes through this whole speech about how he's going to convince them all God, it doesn't exist. And on the board behind him, it says, day 1, Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Let me tell you something. If these people would have taken Philosophy 101, they would know that if that was his whole point of the class, he wouldn't have started with Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Because the whole point of that is to lead Rene to the thing where if I can conceive of God, I know that I couldn't conceive of that. So he must be real.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of that. So he definitely would want to talk about that. But they were like, oh, just put some philosopher up there.
And quite literally, having attended multiple college classes in my day, no professor is going to let you have a whole class period to set up a debate lecture and disrupt their classroom plans. I mean, literally, they have a syllabus, and yeah, they're not fooling around with your tomfoolery. They don't care.
Listen to this. This is awesome. Evangelical Michael Gerson, highly critical of the film and its message, writing this, quote, "The main problem with God's Not Dead is not its cosmology or ethics, but its anthropology. It assumes that human beings are made out of cardboard." Thank you. Thank you. Academics. It assumes that academics are arrogant and cruel. Liberal bloggers are preening and snarky. Unbelievers disbelieve because of personal demons. It's characterization by caricature.
And it does a horrific job portraying pastors, except the guy that's from Africa. I like him. He's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's a bad movie. Also in 2014, Son of God, a movie that came out that was actually it's immediately following a movie that begins on another it was a TV series called AD.
Oh,
The Bible
yeah.
Continues, which actually takes place after that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Also starred the prettiest Jesus ever. Do you remember this guy? Do you remember this show? Son of God. Look at that Jesus. He's actually Dutch.
So there was the Gospel of John. I think it was the Gospel of John that they made into a movie. It was either that or the Gospel of Mark, but it had one of the guys from Lost playing Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a spoiler.
Yeah, interesting. This is one done by Roma Downey, Son of God. They've also done a lot of movies. Heaven is for Real also came out in 2014. 2014 was a big one. Heaven for Real was based on a book about Pastor Todd Burpo and his son, who has his appendix burst, almost dies in the hospital. And he comes back, and they gradually find out that he is saying things and recounting things he saw that were heaven.
Impossible.
Claims to have seen his grandfather, who he did not know, but described perfectly. There was a lot of things in it that were kind of cool. I read the book. I remember the book when it came out, and I saw the movie, and it was okay.
Is this the one with Beth Dutton in it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The girl who plays Beth Dutton is Kelly Riley.
Yeah.
Greg Kinnear in it as well. Produced by T.D. Jakes and Joe Roth. It budget $12 million, made $102 million. So that worked out for him. Mom's Night Out by the Irwin Brothers. This is a big moment in Christian movie history because it was just a movie. Like, there was some themes in it. There were some positive things and some Christian stuff. The main lady's going through some stuff, but mostly they just tried to make a funny movie that was Christian. And they told a human story, which the Irwin Brothers, that's going to be a pattern with them.
So you're saying they're different than the Kendrick brothers?
Yes. Starring Sarah Drew, Sean Astin, Patricia Heaton. So some big names in there. Trace Adkins. But budget $5 million, made $10 million. So their movie's not quite getting as much traction as the Kendrick brothers movies. But I'm going to argue that we're leading to something better there with them. Let's see. Moving forward, we get the Left Behind movie Nicolas Cage style in 2014.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna.
Did you see the Nick Cage Left Behind, Cain?
I did.
Oh, you have.
I have not
this.
seen this, so please describe.
Okay. So I thought I would give it the benefit of the doubt against my better judgment. I saw it on Netflix and I was like, surely it can't be that bad. It was. I think, where do I start? I think the thing that really got me about this movie was the main turning point of the movie. You know, that one thing where everything goes wrong and the rest of the movie is completely built upon that one event could totally have easily been avoided. Okay. So I'm gonna have a spoiler here because
We've had years to watch it, so you're gonna.
I'm probably not watching this one.
So Nicolas Cage is in a plane and it's heading headlong towards another plane, and they're like debating what they're gonna do for like a good few minutes. Heading towards this other plane.
That's wasting precious time.
And just then, at the last second, he decides, "Oh, I better get out of the way of this other oncoming plane." And he pulls away, and he and the other plane like clips his wing or something. Oh no! Now they've got this damaged plane, and everything, all his problems stem from that.
That's great.
You think that you might like change your course when another plane's coming towards you?
That's not how Nicolas Cage rolls.
No.
You play chicken.
But it was probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and that's saying something.
Paul Chambers, who's a Christian movie critic, starts off his review with like this, quote, "There are millions of Christians with average or above average intelligence. I'd like to think that I'm one of them. So what possessed the makers of Left Behind to produce such an ignorant piece of garbage that's easily one of the worst films of 2014, if not all time?" Is that a good first line? Is that what you're looking for? Also, one of the most widely panned movies ever on Rotten Tomatoes, 1%.
Wow.
1%. One good
Was
review.
Nicolas Cage in desperate need of money at this time? I know he was
He must have been.
Listen,
at some point, but
you could say all you want about it. The budget was $16 million. The box office was $27. It made $11 million.
yes.
I mean, someone still got rich off it.
Yeah.
There's enough diehard Nicolas Cage fans out there.
But even
Wow.
his performance was very subpar.
Oh, that's saying something.
Yeah, it really is.
Exodus, Gods and Kings also came out in 2014. That's Ridley Scott's Russell Crowe movie, and it really should not be included as a Christian movie.
I went and watched it.
I watched it as well. It's bonkers.
I wasn't like anti it. Like, I'm not going to say that it was accurate to the source material, but
Well, it's like Ridley was like, "Oh, I've got Russell Crowe back. Let's make this an impromptu sequel of the Gladiator movie."
works out.
You know, anyways, it's fine. It's got some elements of the story in there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Little Boy comes out in 2015. And I thought that was a wonderful movie. It's a 2015 World War II war drama directed by Alejandro Gomez Monteverde. And it's mainly kind of a Catholic feel to this movie. But it's not about Christianity in and of itself. It's a human story. It's just a story about a boy whose father goes away to fight. He wants to bring his father back, and a local priest convinces him that if he wants something from God, that he should do these things. And that, of course, is a list of care for orphans, take care of widows, you know. And so it's got some good Christian themes. It's a great movie. We just recently watched it on a church movie night. And it's
Never
wonderful.
heard of it.
Well, I've never
It's
heard of
wonderful.
it either.
Budget $20 million, box office $17.7 million. Are you catching the theme here?
Yeah.
All the good movies are not making as much money. And I am troubled.
I am not surprised one iota about that.
The next Irwin Brothers movie comes out in 2015. It's called Woodlawn. Woodlawn, based on the true story of Tandy Gerelds and Tony Nathan. It's a football movie. Miami Dolphins superstar running back Tony Nathan attended Woodlawn High School in Birmingham, Alabama during the early 1970s. Nathan became a model student and the first black football superstar in history. He and other black students played on a mainly white team under coach Tandy Gerelds at a time when racial tensions were very high. He was credited with helping to unify the team. Essentially, this is Remember the Titans, the Christian version.
Okay.
Starring Sean Astin. Again, he's in another one. John Voight, also in this movie. Very good movie. Kendrick Brothers make another biopic. This is something they're going to kind of hang their hat on. It's a human story. Budget $13 million. Box office 14.4.
Well, at least they made some money.
Generally positive reviews. 73% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. I may need to watch this one.
See, I'm getting the feeling that we just don't deserve good movies because we don't reward the good ones.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yes.
Maybe it's turning around here as we go through. Ben-Hur, the remake of Ben-Hur came out in 2016.
I did not watch the remake.
God's Not Dead, which I'm afraid to click on.
Is this the second one or the third one?
2.
Okay.
Budget $5 million, made $24 million.
Eh.
Yeah. I mean, do I even need to tell you
so-
the critical response? 10% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I watched this one as well. Very unbelievable. Portrayal of people, again, not realistic. Very victim culture-esque, but Christian victim culture.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're so persecuted here in America.
Yeah.
We got to stand up for our rights
God,
again.
God's Not Dead kind of goes that way. We'll get to the newest one here in a minute. The Shack came out in 2017. It's like Christian movies for depressed people.
The book was really good. And I did enjoy the movie. It had a great soundtrack.
$20 million budget, $96 million at the box office, starring Sam Worthington, Octavia Spencer, big names, Tim McGraw. So yeah, you start to see here that the Christian movies are starting to get better actors. Approval rating of 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten critics did not like it.
That might be my favorite fictional Christian movie.
2017, The Case for Christ. So The Case for Christ, biopic about Lee Strobel. Lee Strobel, an atheist journalist and investigative reporter in 1980 for the Chicago Tribune. This is the story of basically how he becomes convinced that the stories are all true. He's an investigative reporter, and this movie is literally his journey of investigation and the troubles he's having. Budget $3 million, made $17.6 million. Not a lot of big names in this. Erica Christensen, maybe the biggest. Faye Dunaway's in it, but she's not in it much.
Yeah.
Robert Forster also in it. Gets great critical response for a while, 59% on Rotten Tomatoes. But I thought this was, at the time when this came out, I kind of anointed this one the best Christian movie from a Christian studio at the time that I'd seen. Directed by John Gunn. Brian Bird wrote the screenplay, and it was really good. Anything else to add to that?
Not really.
It does not sit on the throne long. Also, the price. That's when Priceless came out too, by the way. Cain, who you said was your best one. So that's a good couple of years there. 2018 brings I Can Only Imagine. Irwin Brothers, who we've discussed, budget of $7 million, makes $86 million. By far their most successful movie. It's the story of Bart Millard, lead singer of Mercy Me. So of course, famous for the song of the same name as the movie. This one unseats Case for Christ for me. When I see this one, I think it's the best Christian movie I've seen. Very, very good. And again, a human story. A pattern's emerging here for the Irwin Brothers movies where they're showing you human stories and real humans. So if you remember, the problem I have with the other Christian studio movies, Fireproof, Courageous, War Room, they're just filled with people who don't seem real to me. They don't act in the way humans act. And here you have a movie where, there's scenes in a bar. There's people drinking. The dad is, Bart Millard's dad is not a good guy. Over the course of the movie, he becomes a Christian as he gets sick.
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis
So
Quaid in this movie.
mean.
67% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I think it deserved more. It was a great movie. What'd you think, Cain, of I Can Only Imagine?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen
Wow. He can only imagine how great it is.
Well, I guess we're going to have to watch that
Yeah.
at some point here.
Yeah, that one. So again, for my choice, I chose Ragamuffin as probably my favorite Christian biopic, and this was close to it. But again, it has that same common theme of real life problems, real life issues, and not necessarily portraying Christians in the best light at all times. Both films do capture that, because during parts of I Can Only Imagine, you're like, Bart, you're selfish.
Yes. Yeah. Unbroken comes out in 2018 as well. That is the story of Louis Zamperini.
Never heard
an
of it.
Olympian. What? What's wrong with you? He's an Olympian, man. And he's taken prisoner in World War II. Have you not seen this movie?
No.
Have you not heard of Louis Zamperini?
No.
Oh man, you should watch this movie.
Kane's awfully quiet. So
Yeah, did you see this movie, Cain? Or do you know the name Louis Zamperini?
Yeah. I remember it coming out. I always intended to watch it. I just can't remember whether I actually did or not. I don't think I. Is that the one that was directed by Angelina Jolie?
No.
No?
This is Harold Kronk, he of God's Not Dead fame.
Okay.
And this is actually put out by Pureflix Entertainment. Usually not my favorite, but this movie was actually pretty good. And look what happens. Budget $6 million, box office $6.2 million.
well, I didn't even hear of it. So
This is why we can't have nice things, you guys. It's a biopic, and it's Louis Zamperini has a horrible experience, and he has to learn how to let go of anger and find grace. Basically, is the movie. Then some other notables as we get into 2019 and 20. Finally, Unplanned was a big movie that came out.
did not watch that one.
Of course, God's Not Dead. We the People has come out, is out right now.
Refused to watch that
Looks
one.
terrible. Absolutely combining Americanism with religion, and just looks really, really bad. And I won't see it.
Might be amazing. Who knows?
So overall, here's what I want to say. I want to say that the Christian studio movies, I think they're finding their way.
We didn't mention the Amazing Grace movie.
What was that movie?
Was it not called Amazing Grace? About the guy that actually made the song, wrote the song? Yeah.
There's a 2018 concert film
Oh, now you're going to make me.
about Aretha Franklin called Amazing Grace. No, we didn't talk about it because apparently it wasn't big enough.
2006. Yeah. Amazing Grace.
Nobody cares.
It had a budget of 29 million, made 32 million. And I think
29 million. Ian Grufford as William Wilberforce. He was Mr. Fantastic in that terrible Fantastic Four movie. Benedict Cumberbatch was in this movie. William Pitt the Younger.
Rufus is in it. Rufus Sewell.
Wow.
Everybody.
Ciarán Hinds. Well, you've got some Shakespearean level acting going on here.
Yeah. And here you are dogging it.
Yeah, well, it didn't make any money.
I think that might have been about the same time that Chris Tomlin did his Amazing Grace cover. And like
He
it
who
was
shall not be named.
on the soundtrack. So
Okay, so what we're seeing, I think, is that we're turning a corner finally. I think the Kendrick brothers single-handedly set Christian filmmaking back a few years because they kept making so much stinking money. And so we had to deal with those movies for a little while. But I think what we're seeing now is these human stories, I think, make good entertainment. And they have the best shot of someone who's not a Christian seeing these movies. And it leads me to the Irwin Brothers' new movie, which Cody and I went and saw an advanced screening of, called American Underdog, about Kurt Warner. Now, in New Zealand, are you aware of Kurt Warner, American football?
Nope.
Not any of that.
American what?
you mean soccer?
No. Yeah.
American soccer?
Yeah. So we went and saw the movie. We can't review it. We can't give spoilers. I can tell you we both really loved it.
So it might replace Ragamuffin for my favorite Christian movie.
I can tell you right now it's my favorite Christian movie made by a Christian movie studio about Kurt Warner. And it's just like, listen, again, Christianity is not the focus here. You get a real human story about a guy. Essentially, this movie is about identity. This guy is looking for his identity, and he thinks it lies in football. And by the way, this guy ends up being a Hall of Fame. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think he got inducted.
He's already in the Hall of Fame. So he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. So his identity wasn't football, but it wasn't. As this movie is him sort of figuring that out, and it's just wonderful. It's just such a good movie, and it's about the Warners. It's about this family and about this guy. And It's just a fantastic film.
Yeah, and I love that they show the human components. They are not perfect. They have problems. They have issues, but they do find that identity of who they are and who made them and who is faithful to them. And I also thoroughly enjoyed the music within the movie. It's a weird thing, but like the 90s country music, I'm like, hey, I grew up listening to this. And then like they have like the early 2000s like big Christian hits in it. So they have Grits singing ooh-ah, and then POD makes an appearance in the background of a scene. So
Cain, did you ever meet POD?
No.
No. Who's the just as a sidebar? Just don't think about it, but right off the top of your head, most famous musician people you've ever met.
Joel for King and Country.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that's famous.
You weren't ready for that answer.
No, I wasn't ready for that.
But I knew him before for King and Country.
You knew him as backup singer to his sister.
Oh, I just knew him as Joel. He's just a good guy.
Oh wow,
We're on a first name basis.
oh, that was a stellar name drop. Oh man, that couldn't have gone much better.
We did tour a few times with Skillet as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
And they had some crossover success within that kind of metal rock category.
So, American Underdog is the name of the movie. It comes out Christmas Day, the Kurt Warner story, starring Zachary Levi.
Shazam!
Yeah, as the Shazam. By the way, awesome roster of actors in this movie. Zachary Levi, Anna
great.
Paquin, Dennis Quaid, the Quaid, as we like to call him.
Especially since Randy's like on the run.
Adam Baldwin is in this movie as the coach at Northern Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
Bruce McGill is the name of the man. I told you he passed away.
Yes.
This must have been his last role. Bruce McGill as the head of the owner of the Iowa Barnstormers Arena League football team. And he's wonderful. The little time he has in it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What an awesome kind of thing to have him in his last role and it be that guy. And it's wonderful.
They did a phenomenal job casting like everywhere you look, from Brenda Warner's kids to the various coaches, whoever played Mike Martz nailed it.
I predict that this movie will be one of it's not going to do Passion of the Christ numbers, obviously. But that really wasn't a Christian studio film. I predict that this will be one of the most successful Christian studio films of all time. And it's because it's actually being distributed by Lionsgate on Christmas Day, which is
A huge
get for a Christian movie to be released on Christmas Day to theaters. And I'm super excited for it because the movie's really, really good. And I think you should go out and see it, whether you're a Christian or not. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a fan of football, if you remember Kurt Warner, then you'll love this movie. Chiefs fans will love it just because Dennis Quaid is Dick Vermeil. Come on.
Yeah.
And he's awesome.
And even if you're not a football fan, like it's like Ted Lasso, and the fact that like Ted Lasso takes place around soccer, but it's not about soccer.
Yeah.
The movie takes place around football, but it's not necessarily about football.
Yeah, you're gonna recognize, if you're a football fan, especially back in this day, you're gonna recognize a lot of the names and faces, the numbers. Marshall Falk, Isaac Bruce, his greatest show on turf. That's what they called it. Dick Vermeil, Mike Martz is a big part of the movie. He's wonderful. I don't even know who that guy is that plays him because the full cast list isn't there, but he was awesome in this movie. Just go see it. It's a great flick. Comes out Christmas Day.
Treat yourself.
American Underdog. We'll do a full review come December 17th. That's when the embargo lifts. But
Yeah.
I think we can say that it's awesome and the best Christian movie ever made, in my opinion. And you should go see it.
Nice.
Do we have anything else to say, Keen? I feel like we didn't give you a chance to really talk much.
No, I'm good.
What's your favorite like pop culture thing? Like if you had, is it Marvel movies?
Yeah, I mean, I love Marvel and Star Wars and Lego and all sorts of stuff.
You did your own Lego YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Got a channel called The Vintage Brick. It's kind of fun. I haven't posted anything for a while, but yeah, it was cool.
So if you're into Legos, check out The Vintage Brick on YouTube, where you can watch Cain putting together Legos.
Yay!
Listen, I know I am not the guy who's going to be ignorant and say who would watch that, because I know there's probably lots of people who would watch that.
Yeah. It's more entertaining than you think.
Yeah. I want to, like, I don't want to sit and put together the Death Star. I want to watch someone else do it.
And then give me the finished product.
As I'm looking at my phone and, slowly looking back and forth. All right. We've talked for a while. I hope people enjoyed this episode. It's a weird episode because this is the first time we really kind of delved into the pastor part of our name and talked about a Christian thing. And so I hope people like this. We'll be back with more of your run-of-the-mill pop culture next week.
So do we agree that the best Christian movies tend to be real and testimonial in nature?
Yes. Biopics work great.
Yeah.
Biopics work fantastic because I think here's what you're going to do. The reason American Underdog is so good is because it's a story told through real human beings who act like real human beings. There's drinking. There's even, by the way, I don't know if it'll make the final cut, but one of the coaches uses the D word. Exactly.
Yeah.
I literally gasped in the theater.
I did not.
Because I was like, whoa, Irwin Brothers pushing the envelope here. You're going to have some Christian families walking out of the theater, bro. That's all right. They already gave them their money.
Which, that is how real people talk. And I know a lot of church people that talk that way outside of Sunday morning. Yeah. So
there's beer drinking going on because he's young and in college. He's not saved. It's just so good, so human. And the story is all about this kind of the thrust of the whole entire story is this idea that he's pursuing his identity. And he finds out at some point in the movie that there's an identity that you already have in God, and he figures it out. That it's not just to be a football player. It's to be a husband, a son, a father. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the identity we all have. It's like we tend to identify ourselves with all these things the culture tells us, but really, we're supposed to identify ourselves as what God imagined us to be when he was knitting us together in our mother's womb. That's the perfect version of us, that there was a version of us that God had in mind, not us, not what we have in mind. And that's what we should be striving for. And so it's a movie about identity. It's told through his story, which is great.
Yeah.
Go see it. Christmas Day.
I will.
All right. I think we're going to set up a group showing. I'm going to get it in the theater. Pop Culture Pastor, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Cain Coulton, formerly of Detour 180. Christian rock band. Now Vintage Brick YouTube channel, Lego building Legos and other things. What else do you do? He does ministry, obviously.
I do all sorts of things.
Yeah. You do like some music stuff still, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Mainly, I haven't released anything, but yeah, it's kind of fun. Songwriting and producing and doing stuff like that.
All right. That's awesome. Man, he does way more than us. We do this podcast.
It's gotten a few listens.
Yeah, we mean a few. Okay, we got to get out of here. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.